Hello, this is in continuation of the sentence boundary errors. Last time you listened to a video on run-on errors. Remember I mentioned there were three types of sentence boundary errors. One of them is run-ons. The other one is fragment. What are fragment errors? You have to remember fragments they're not independent sentence. They don't make complete sense, or there's a verb or subject that's missing, and it cannot function on its own. It needs to be connected to another sentence. Okay, so how can we correct fragments? In fact, I would say that's the easiest mistake to correct. You can combine it with another sentence or add the missing verb or subject, and then voila, it's corrected. Okay, let's take an example. Because Joy was afraid to live in Baltimore, she moved to Bronx with her family. If you notice, the first sentence doesn't make complete sense. Because Joy was afraid to live in Baltimore, so what? It's not a complete sentence. So if we combine it with the sentence next to it, then it becomes a complete sentence. Because Joy was afraid to live in Baltimore, she moved to Bronx with her family. So just by putting the comma instead of the period, we have fixed the error. It's that simple. And you can reverse it. She moved to Bronx with her family because Joy was afraid to live in Baltimore. All you have to notice is the punctuation difference. Remember, if you start with the dependent sentence, when you begin with dependent connectors like although, because, since, even though, make sure you don't put a period at the end of that sentence, but a comma, and then you combine it with a main sentence or the independent sentence. Let's take another example. Bad grades, absence from classes, and an incident with a smoke bomb. Wes got arrested. Now, in the first sentence, or if you really look to see, it's just a group of words. There's no subject, there's no verb. So obviously, it cannot stand on its own. So we can correct it by adding the missing elements and make it into one complete sentence. Wes's bad grades, absence from classes, and an incident with a smoke bomb got him arrested. Or, Wes got arrested, you can begin with the main sentence, because of his bad grades, absence from classes, and an incident with a smoke bomb. So now we have combined these group of words to the main sentence. Well, there are other ways of fixing this sentence, but remember we are just focusing on the fragment errors. So for fragments, all that you have to remember is watch out for sentences, particularly if you're going to begin with since, because, although, because the tendency is to put a period at the end of it, thinking it's a complete sentence, but it's not. So all you have to do is just add a comma and link it with the main sentence. Okay, here are some online resources that you can just click and go to, or cut and paste the URL address. They have wonderful exercises on run-ons and fragments, and also the next topic that we are going to cover, comma splice. So when you have some time, you can go and do these online exercises so you won't make these errors when you write. Okay?